Hi, I'm Aaron Marcus, and welcome back to the Acting and Modeling Success Summit. We have John Strawbridge with us right now, and John is an educator, an author, casting director with over 20 years experience in film, television, and theater. He's the creative director of Campanile Media and the artistic director of Actors Company Theater. Also, for anybody who's interested in commercials, John wrote a book not only for commercials, but for theater as well, or for film and television. It's called The Audition Book. It's what casting directors are really looking for. And you can purchase it at Amazon.com. So the name is The Audition Book. So, John, welcome to the summit.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you.
So, the very beginning of our talk, I want to give people a pretty good idea of the kind of equipment they're going to be needing if you want to audition from home. Because what we're finding is there are some casting directors and certain projects that will allow actors to shoot the initial audition from their home, and then you email it to them. Now, it will vary from project to project and area to area, but I certainly do it with some people, and it's really important that everybody knows exactly what kind of equipment and how to put it together. Once we talk about that, then I want to go into analyzing the sides, which is the short portion of the script that you're actually going to be reading. So the very first thing is you're going to need a camera, something to shoot you with. And look, you don't have to go out and buy a very expensive high-end type of camera that's going to be used on feature films, but it's something that has to be good, sharp, clear, that will allow people to really see the color of your eyes and see you clearly. You're also going to need a microphone. And you can get a pretty inexpensive lavalier microphone, which can clip right to your shirt. And it's okay if it's seen. People understand it's an audition, and you just hook that up to the camera, and it will give a really nice, clear sound to things. You also will want to get a couple of lights, and once again, you could probably spend, I'm just kind of estimating, maybe $100. Actually, John, are you, I don't know if you've purchased any lights recently, but would you estimate, you can buy a light for $75, $100?
Yeah, I think you can buy a decent enough light for that. And I mean, and nowadays it's almost, as you said, you don't need to spend a lot on a camera, but it's almost hard to buy a camera that isn't pretty light sensitive and isn't pretty good resolution. So you don't need to spend a lot on a light because your chances are your camera's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, and honestly, the best thing, what I did was I just went to a camera store and I spoke with people, told them what I was looking for. I also needed, some kind of tripod for the camera. I actually have 3 lights. So I have lights on either side of me, both sides of me, and then the third I actually bounce off of just like a white piece of cardboard that's below the camera, and it kind of fills my face a little bit. And the other main thing is you need either a clear wall, something with a light color behind you, or a screen. Actually, I just purchased a very inexpensive screen that I pull down. I just attached it to the wall, so that way there's nothing distracting. The shadows are not bad, and it's really it's pretty easy to do once you've spent a little time and you figured out exactly where you want the lights to be, and then you can just mark it on the floor and just put it in the same place every time you do your audition. And John, as somebody who watches castings, any suggestions, just general suggestions about shooting the audition, what it should look like?
Yeah, I mean the best rule is going to be keep it simple. We addressed some of this for any audition, but as far as keeping your wardrobe not too distracting, keeping what you're wearing, keeping, as you said, the background. If there's a mistake that I see in home auditions, it's people overproducing. That they think, okay, boy, I'm going to really impress. I'm going to make them feel like they're watching a piece of the movie, and they're going to go outside and try to shoot some scenes. Or if it's in a car, they're going to go try to shoot it in their car, or maybe get the local coffee shop owner to let them shoot it there. And all that stuff it's not only going to be distracting from you, which of course is what you want them to pay attention to. It's going to have this sort of subconscious suggestion that I don't feel like I'd be good enough if I didn't do all this other kind of stuff, and that's always a danger with adding things to your audition.
And
So keep all the production elements really straightforward.
well, and the other thing too is I once had a director tell me for actors acting reels, he said, definitely do not make it too fancy because then I'm going to start looking at it from a technical point of view, and chances are it's not going to be as good as something that a director or producer is going to actually shoot and create, and it's going to have a negative impact on me. And I stop watching you as an actor, and I'm looking at production. And
Right.
I definitely wouldn't put a soundtrack,
Yeah, no, don't
behind.
add, don't add music. And keep in mind, whoever you ask to read the scene with you, um, you want somebody who's going to be able to find that balance, that they're not going to be so bad that they kill the scene, but you also don't want somebody who's going to be, gee, now who's that guy off camera? He's really good. Make sure that the person reading the scene with you isn't auditioning, that they're just feeding you the lines. Don't let them distract you.
So once you have that in place, and you've got all the technical stuff happening, then you've got to work on the material. And actually, and I've studied. I can tell everybody I've studied with John. He's just really really good. And one of the things that I remember asking John in one of our first sessions was, one of the things that's so hard as an actor is quite often we'll get the sides, which is the short portion of the script that you're going to be reading, and there's not much information in there. And we're asked to make character decisions based on very, very little. And something that John said to me that I thought was really interesting, and it stayed with me, is that you'd be surprised how much is really in there. And I kind of, shook my head a little bit. I said, really? And so we started going through some sides, and all of a sudden, there was a lot of information that I really didn't view as information. So what I thought would be really cool here is take some sides and let's go through it. And John will analyze it and give you ideas. And the most important thing is it gives you a different way to view the sides. So what we're going to do is, and this is not going to be any kind of dramatic read here, we're just going to read the words just so you can see them. We'll scroll down, and then once we go through it, then we'll go back and John will talk about it and really give you a real sense of direction as to how to look at sides. So I guess we should really be looking at the very top, which is always a good idea to
Yeah,
start off with.
yeah.
And just to see, this is episode 104. So, this thing has been, first of all, we know it's a television show.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
not a
so
commercial. It's not a
we can
film.
get into that afterwards.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So,
so should we just,
so
where would you like to start then?
let's start. Sort of with the stage direction. We see that we're on a patio at night. Mary Beth is bringing out coffee. Rand takes his cup and sip. Mary Beth blows in hers to cool it. A comfortable silence stretches into an uncomfortable silence.
Okay, and so for this one, I'm going to be auditioning for Rand.
Right. And so
Okay,
make me
so
Mary Beth.
okay, so I'll start off. This is nice.
Beats a poke in the eye.
Well, I wish every night could be like this.
Same old, same old. You wouldn't get bored.
With what? A full stomach and a warm coffee with extra sugar, the sunset, the sounds of kids playing.
Yeah, I guess it's a dream come true.
It's a shame you couldn't have been here last night. The clouds were real low and pink. There was a break where a single ray of gold light just shot down like a, I don't know, it was pretty cool looking.
Sounds like a winner. Sorry I missed it.
That's okay. Well, me too. So is this new job going to keep you late a lot?
Hard to tell. I'm still kind of testing the waters. I feel like I have to make a good impression. Things are still kind of up in the air.
Well, I hope that once it becomes routine, you'll be able to come home sooner.
Let's hope.
All right, and then they drink their coffee as the darkness closes in. All right, so let me go back to the top.
Yeah, so let me now we're going to talk about what you were talking about beforehand because you're such an apt pupil, you're getting right into it. But I just want to kind of give people my general philosophy because the what I often see actors doing, and it's perfectly understandable, is going straight for the lines and start digging into the lines and trying to figure out, how can I deliver this? What does this line mean? What's subtext? And the kind of approach that I try to teach people, and especially if you're auditioning from home and you're not going to get any kind of direction, you're not going to get any kind of influence from, so you have to be your own casting director. So you need to be able to approach it the way we as in casting would, and we approach it. I like to say from the big picture into the small picture. So the big picture is, what kind of project is this? What do I know about this project that's going to help me make some good choices about how to play it? And that gets in. So tell us again what you were about to point out there from the top.
Well, the very first thing is that I saw episode 104,
Right.
and
So as you said, that tells you a couple things. First of all, that it's a TV series. Now, hopefully, you will, as much as possible, you would have asked those questions when you first got the audition. But if you didn't, or if you didn't get answers that helped, or if they just kind of sent you to some website to download the sides, um, the simple thing like knowing that it's a TV series versus a feature film, or if, for instance, you know that it's a TV series on Hallmark or on Oxygen Channel, that's going to give you a different kind of sense of the project than if it's on Spike TV or on Fox or the WB. Even what kind of network it's on. If you can find that out, if you can Google the title and learn a little bit about who's making the show and what their kind of style is, any of that information is going to give you a sense of what their style of filmmaking and their style of performance is. Not always. Sometimes it's a brand new project. There's nothing you can find out about it, and that's fair. But if there's something you can find out, that's already put you into a better mindset for kind of giving the kind of performance that the people making the decisions are looking for.
well, I know that also you've always said the importance of, if it is a show that's on TV, you've got to watch the show. You've got to be very
Absolutely.
familiar with the characters, with the style, what the pacing is like on the show. Do people talk over, each other? Are people more laid back? Because you need to fit in to that particular format.
Yeah, because the whole idea, one of the things that I struggle with most with students that I'm teaching is the idea of nailing an audition or of getting it right. And there's no more useless pursuit in doing audition than trying to nail it or get it right, because it's really this degree of certain performances are more effective than not, and something that would be a fantastic performance on Law and Order would be a terrible performance on Vampire Diaries, right? So it's really important that you have as much as you can. You can't be psychic, but as much as you can that you get a sense of the style and the tone. So let's talk a little bit more about tone, or what I like to call the dynamic, because there's more information in the sides that's going to give you some sense of. And I like to compare it to, is this scene a roller coaster? Is it a moonlit dinner? Is it a walk in the park? And so you want to look at the scene itself. And you have what we call the slug line, or the scene description. In this case, it says exterior patio night. So again, you picture that in your mind, and you picture the scene of this, what we gather is a couple. Um, but it's outside, it's at night, it's dark, they're outside the home, and you put that together with some of this other stuff we have in the scene description, whether it's from where it says a comfortable silence stretches into an uncomfortable silence. And hopefully right away you begin to get a real sense of, okay, I think I know how this relationship should play out just from how they've described the scene. That this is not necessarily this great warm romantic couples moment, but there's really something kind of dark and you might say alienating, because again, this has been staged outside the home. And that's a deliberate choice. This scene could have taken place in the kitchen, at the dining room table, it could have been by the fireplace, but the writer said, no, I feel like this is outside. And there's a reason for all of those kinds of choices. And the more you can think about the reason, the writer or the director, whoever made those choices, the more that you as the actor are going to make compatible choices, because you're all working together. You're all artists trying to come to the same purpose of this scene. So if you look at the choices that the people before you have made, you can be working in the same direction.
John, as you were mentioning it, I wonder if part of the idea of having them outside is to maybe separate them a little bit more, um,
You
as
can see
opposed to
that rather
sitting on the.
than. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because you could see there's some conflict going on in their relationship. And so, if they were in bed together, they'd be very close and intimate. If they were sitting, at a kitchen table, it would be like a little bit closer as well. I kind of picture them being, a little bit further apart outside and more distant, which is kind of a statement about the relationship as well.
Yeah, and if you take it even further and you think about, okay, how is the scene going to edit? The editor is going to be forced to keep them separate in the shots. It's going to be a shot of him and a shot of her, and it's going to be very hard to put them together in a shot. So you're exactly right, I think, about that.
So what kind of words in here would be helpful, or phrases that would trigger some, ideas for actors to use for the audition?
Well, in looking at the dialogue, um, and as you said, there's a lot we could go, and we could probably spend an hour or more just on this scene. But let me go, as you say, a little bit to the dialogue, because one thing that strikes me interesting about the Mary Beth character is well, there's two kinds of let me back up. There's two kinds of information you get from dialogue. One is textual information, factual information, and from there's certain factual script things we learn from this dialogue, that she started a new job, she's been working late a lot. He's been staying home. There's this sort of very literal story elements. But what's more important for us as actors is not just what they say, but kind of how they say it. And if you look at all of Mary Beth's lines, and I'm going to go through them sort of just in their isolation. Beats a poke in the eye. Same old, same old. It's a dream come true. Sounds like a winner. Hard to tell. I'm testing the waters. Uh, let's hope. Things are kind of up in the air. Does anything strike you about her lines?
Well, she seems a little sarcastic, not real warm and fuzzy, um, to say the least.
It's certainly a little
And
bit at odds with this with the scene of a couple sitting around sharing coffee. But
yeah, she's feeling you don't feel that connection from her at all.
well, almost all of her lines are cliches. They're stock phrases. They're not. They don't require a lot of original thought. They're really shields. They're really something that she can answers that she can hide behind, that have no real intimacy, no real connection. They're easy things to go to. So by looking at because it would be easy if you took just a quick read of the scene, it could look like a nice kind of romantic scene. A husband and wife having coffee. He wishes she were home more, so does she. But again, the way she's saying these things, she's really kind of putting that distance between them. Um, and in this case, I'm assuming, since I gave you the part of Rand, that you're auditioning for Rand. And what's interesting is you won't get it. You won't get the scene from what Rand says, and you won't get it from his lines. You'll only get this relationship. You'll only get what's really going on here if you look at how she responds to him, and how she kind of puts him off, and how she's kind of uh, hiding something, or hiding behind these lines.
Well, and that's also why, and I know you've mentioned this to me before too, is that, quite often it's the other person's lines that says so much more about you, and you can understand yourself so much more clearly quite often is from the other person's lines, not just what you have to say.
Yeah, because you're really, and that's for me the difference between playing a character and playing a role. Because in a role, through the whole course of a play or a movie or whatever, there's all kinds of facets of this person, and all kinds of emotions you're going to go through. But to play, I'm sorry, I'm getting this backwards. The character, the character is the broad essence of who a person is, and what their background is, and what their influences and their mindset. But the role varies from scene to scene. And in this case, Rand's role in this relationship is a very different thing that we might see Rand's role being if we had a scene of him at work, or of him at the grocery store, or with his buddies having a beer at the bar. So it's really essential that you look at the other character to understand your role in the relationship, in the scene.
So then, as far as Rand's lines go, do you see him, or actually, well, maybe I should just ask, from her reaction, how would you translate some of Rand's lines into an action for the actor in their read?
It's he's really when I talk about dynamic, it's almost he's sort of fishing. He's really trying to provoke a reaction in her, and so the more he's getting these kinds of stock answers, these kinds of non-responsive answers, I would see, though it appears like not a lot happens in this scene, though it appears kind of mild, it's really kind of ramping up for him, that the more he doesn't get any real response from her, the harder he's got to try as we work down to the bottom of the scene. There's one particular moment that would strike me, and as a casting director, it's the moment that I would be looking for in the actor to see whether they got it, whether they were getting who Rand was. And it's near the bottom. Rand has a line that says, "Me too. Is this job going to keep you a lot lately?" And if I read that line like that, "Me too, is this job going to keep you a lot late a lot?" it doesn't make sense. But there's a little mark in there that says a beat. And we've all seen that. And we've all probably, okay, a beat. 1, 2. and then we jump in. But how long you hold that beat is a lot less important than you saying, okay, hold on, why is that beat there? Why did somebody take the trouble to, in the middle of a line, and to connect that line, "Me too," with this entirely new thought, "Is this new job going to keep you late a lot?" And what Rand thinks in that moment, and the leap that his mind makes from "Me too" to "Is this new job going to," and for me, it's what I call building bridges. And for me as a performer, I'm going to have to try to build a bridge from "Me too" to "Is this new job going to keep you late a lot?" And I'd have to build something like, "Me too. I wish she hadn't missed it. I hope she doesn't miss the next one. She's going to be late a lot." And then you come with your expressed thought, "Is this new job going to keep you late?" So there's something like 3 different thoughts that happen in that beat. And that's the moment that I, as a casting director, am looking for what you do with as an actor. That's the interesting moment, because that's the crux to this relationship that this rest of the scene has kind of built to, when he's put all these things out there, nothing's happened, and then he's finally kind of flat out ask it. Almost flat out ask it. I mean, obviously the flat out would be, "So, are you having an affair?" But he gets as close as he can get, and that thought process is what I'd really be interested to see.
And I guess what's really nice about, like, in that one moment, like you said earlier, there is no one right answer. There is no one right way of thinking what's happening in that person's head during that beat, because you can take that into a lot of different directions. Like, I'm never going to see my wife again,
Right.
and then, so is this really going to keep you, late a lot? As if, I can't believe that this is how we're going to live our life. There are so many different ways that you can take it.
Yeah, there's no one right, but there is one wrong way to do it, and the wrong way is to just blitz through it. The wrong way is just to count the beat and then just go on with the line, and to not take into account that the beat, the silence, is dialogue.
Well, actually, John, and I know we're going to have to wrap this up. Would you mind reading it the wrong way? Excuse me, just so people could hear it? Yeah.
Sure. Throw me Mary Beth's line.
Yes, sounds like a winner. I'm sorry I missed it.
Me too. This new job going to keep you late a lot? Or even with let me do it again, and I'll even actually count the beat and still do it wrong.
Great. Okay. Yes, sounds like a winner. I'm sorry I missed it.
Me too. This new job going to keep you late a lot? It's dead, right? There's just,
yeah.
It was, yeah.
Okay, and then let me just throw you the line with a different approach to that beat. Hey, it sounds like a winner. I'm sorry I missed it.
Yeah, me too. This new job is going to keep you late a lot.
Wow.
And again, the start, it's just like in sports that you need the right wind up and follow through. The running start the right kind of thought in that beat gives you makes everything that comes after play differently.
Wow. John, that was great. Hey, listen, we're going to have to, I agree, we could spend another hour or two just working on this, but there are some questions that have come in. I definitely want to get to some of those. So let me take a look and see. Okay, this is from Lori in North Carolina, and she wants to know, do you suggest people read their lines directly into the camera?
Excellent question, because that's something that comes up a lot. It's something that I wish people would ask me when they're in my office. I don't. As a casting director, as a director, I'm looking to see how you as an actor would look in my project. And unless it's one of those really really rare situations where you would be looking into the camera, if you're an on-camera narrator or a host or a newsreader. But other than that, I would find it distracting for you to be looking at me while you're doing the scene. So you'll get people who tell you the opposite, but from my perspective, no, I'd rather you look at the person you're doing the scene with.
Yeah, I mean, everything that I've experienced, like you were saying, except for those brief exceptions, unless it's a TV commercial, but for any film or TV show, pretty much you're always going to be, looking at the reader. Hey, we've got Donnie from Ireland
All
who
right.
wants to know, do I have to memorize the script before recording it?
No. Again, it's a good question to ask of the people you're auditioning for, because again, different casting directors may have different strong opinions about that. And if they've said be memorized, then absolutely you need to do that. But 90% of the time, we're really just looking for performance. So I wouldn't have it memorized, but I would be familiar enough with it that that even if you suddenly drop the script in the middle, you could kind of go on with the sense of it. Um, and I want to clarify that a little bit, because one of my objections to memorizing at this stage is that then I see an actor remembering a script rather than performing a script and acting a script. And people always think they're better at that than they are, but you really need to be rehearsed, and to be memorized, you need to have had it memorized for days and be rehearsed. So unless you're specifically told to be off book, um, you're not making a better impression to be off book.
And I think also what some people are concerned with, if they're told that they can, have the script, that they're going to be holding it, either in front of their face, or they're going to be looking down at the sides while the reader is reading back, or even when they're reading their own lines and not, being able to have their face seen.
and
So,
and, and that's a danger if indeed you do that. If you do in fact hold your paper up like this, but it's easy enough for me to hold this, and I know on camera here you can't even see where I'm holding the script now, and then just it's like instead of turning my whole face down, I'm just taking my eyes down to the sides and I'm back up. Um, so yeah, just keep it where you can see it, but it's not going to block you. And
yeah.
again, the idea is that you're not thinking about the sides, that you're not thinking about the script. Think about your character, think about your performance, think about that relationship, because that's what I, as a casting director, as a director, that's what I need to see in that video. I don't. It's not. We're there to test your and I'm not even going to say we're there to test your ability to act. We're there to test your ability to make choices, to understand a character, and to make choices, and to play out those choices. We've never once said, "Man, she's not much of an actor, but she sure can memorize. Let's hire her." Not gonna happen.
Hey, John, I'm sorry we're going to have to wind this up right now, but I just wanted to thank you so much for being part of this summit. Your information is always invaluable, and for anybody who wants to learn more about the audition process, definitely check out the audition book, what casting directors are really looking for, and once again, you can find it at Amazon.com. John, thank you so much. We're going to take just a couple of minutes for a break, then we'll be coming back. If there are any questions, or actually there were questions that we couldn't get to, I will definitely, I'll hang out after we finish today and just continue to answer any questions that you guys have. So, John, thank you so much again. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Brandon.
it.